Welcome back to another live feed on Shaman's YouTube channel. Let's get into it, man. 60th anniversary of, most people know, into this live feed on the thumbnail. You'll see cover Sports Illustrated. It had something about number one, furor of a number one, because it was Michigan State versus Notre Dame, number one versus number two, the battle for number one. And this game was played 60 years ago, 1966. It was dubbed the game of the century. Notre Dame versus Michigan State. Highly anticipated matchup, undefeated teams. It ended a controversial 10-10 tie. It did not come out, in a situation where there was a winner. It was all about a tie. That's what it was, a tie. 10-10 with Notre Dame's coach Aris Parsegian apparently choosing to run out the clock, still attempting a game-winning field goal. So the game featured numerous future Hall of Famers. It was the first college football game ever broadcast to U.S. troops in Vietnam, ultimately leading to Notre Dame winning the national championship and beating USC in their final game. So this is a monumental football game. It was the first college football game ever broadcasted to the troops in Vietnam from the U.S. because Vietnam was going on at that time. It was very heavy, and they was able to watch that game, college football game, broadcast to the U.S. troops in Vietnam. This game was played on November 19th, 1966 in Spartan Stadium, East Lansing, Michigan. 8-0 was Notre Dame. Number 2 was Michigan State at 9-0, 10-10. Aris Parsegian was the coach at Notre Dame. Duffy Daugherty was the coach at Michigan State. The thing about this game is that Michigan State should have won this game. They were up 10-0 in the second quarter with a touchdown and 46-yard field goal. But then Notre Dame responded with a touchdown pass for halftime, making it 10-7. Second half field goal by Notre Dame tied the game at 10-10. And under 2 minutes left, Notre Dame had a chance to win, but chose to run the ball and let the clock expire. A decision that remains controversial. The game is essentially the matchup between the top 2 teams will build as de facto national championship game. National championship despite the tie. Notre Dame finished number 1 in the polls after the decisive win in their final game, while Michigan State was ineligible for a bowl game due to the Big Ten rules. So the broadcasting aspect was that it was the first college football game ever broadcasted to U.S. troops in Vietnam, following an outcry after ABC initially planned not to air it. So that's very interesting. There was a possibility that the ABC was not going to air this game. Obviously, they still did. Now, this game is considered one of the greatest, most controversial games in college football history ever played. So just self-explanatory. Just Chris Schnickel did the game, and Bob Wilkinson did the game, and it was a classic. It was a classic game. A lot of controversy with it. The thing about this game is that this game was not shown live on national television. Interesting. Each team was allotted 1 national television appearance, 2 regional television appearances each season. Notre Dame had used their national television slot in the season opening game against Purdue. Michigan State had used their original TV slot against Purdue. So ABC executives did not even want to show the game anywhere but the regional area, but pressure from the West Coast and the South, tuned to the 50,000 letters, made ABC air the game on tape delay. ABC relented and blacked out the Michigan State Notre Dame game in 2 states, reportedly North Dakota, South Dakota, so it could technically be called a regional broadcast. And also, obviously, again, it was the first college football game to ever be broadcasted live to Hawaii, U.S. troops in Vietnam on the Intelsat 2 F1 satellite. At halftime, the link was reversed. ABC broadcasted a 90-second film of sunbathers at the Hawaiian Village Hotel to the nation. So the official attendance was announced, 80,011. It was the most attended game in Michigan State football history at the time. The current record was September 22, 1990 against Notre Dame. Also, the ABC broadcast was watched by 33 million viewers, had a 22.5 rating, It was not televised again for 37 years until ESPN Classic re-aired it on November 27, 2003. It was discovered in an ABC library 2 years earlier, in 2001. The telecast footage mostly intact with the exception of the first quarter. Yeah. So you look at this game before and during the game, Notre Dame was mired in injury problems. Irish quarterback Terry Hanratty knocked out after getting sacked in the first quarter by Bubba Smith, defensive lineman of the Spartans. Starting Notre Dame running back Nick Eddy was out entirely after hurting his shoulder while slipping on ice while getting off the train in East Lansing. George Godick wrenched his ankle on his punt play. 7-0 was the score when Michigan State jumped out to that lead with a 5-yard run by Regis Cavender early in the second quarter. Later in the half, Michigan State added a field goal with Hawaiian Kinney to make it 10-9, but the Irish came back quickly, scoring a touchdown on a 34-yard pass thrown by backup quarterback Coley O'Brien over the outstretched hands of Michigan State University's safety Jess Phillips and halfback Bob Goodell. Michigan State took a 10-7 lead into the locker room at the half. Notre Dame started the second half in prime position to score after recovering a fumble on the Michigan State 32-yard line on the Spartans' first play from scrimmage. However, the Irish gave the ball right back to Michigan State on an interception. Now, the best second half scoring opportunity for Michigan State came during a pass thrown from Jimmy Gray to Gene Washington. The speedy wide receiver had ran Ray's deep pass. Notre Dame's defensive backfield. Washington was forced to double back, and so doing was caught by the defense. So Notre Dame tied the game in the fourth quarter on the first play on Joe Azzaro's 28-yard field goal. Tom Shane's second interception on consecutive plays from the scrimmage by Michigan State put Notre Dame in a position to take the lead, but Azzaro's 41-yard field goal attempt with 4:38 to go on the clock missed by inches to the right. After the Michigan State punt, Notre Dame had the ball on its own 30-yard line with 1:24 to go. They needed about 40 yards for a game-winning field goal, but Coach Alvarez not wanting to risk a turnover that could end up going to the Spartans chose to run the ball 4 times, including on fourth down, which Notre Dame converted from its own 39-yard line. Michigan State called 3 timeouts in an unsuccessful attempt, perhaps to get the ball back, start a potential game-winning drive. But after making the first down with 10 seconds to go, O'Brien dropped back to pass, was sacked by Bubba Smith. On the last play of the game, O'Brien gained 5 yards on a quarterback sneak. The game ended at 10-10 tie. Albert Seekins, the decision to run the ball in 5 of the 6 plays in the last 1.5 minutes drew criticism from some fans and sports writers who argued he should have played more aggressively to win the game or risk losing it, and left some fans feeling disappointed at the game not having a more definitive revolution. Echoing of the great idioms of Notre Dame lore, college football expert Dan Jenkins led off his article on the game for Sports Illustrated by saying that Parsegian chose to tie one for the Giver. Jenkins concluded that Parsegian felt arrogantly sure that Notre Dame could win the polls, the tie not just over Michigan State, but also have over an undefeated, untied Alabama. Until his death in 2017, however, Parsegian defended his end of the game strategy. According to the same article, Parsegian cited his team's field position and damage to the game as reasons why he hadn't played more aggressively. We fought hard to come back and tie it up, and after that I didn't want to risk giving it to them cheap. They get reckless and could cost them the game. I wasn't going to do a blank thing like that at this point. My starting quarterback, starting left tackle, all my top guys were all over on the bench with me, so we hadn't completed a pass in the last 7 or 8 attempts. So the following week, Notre Dame beat USC 51-0, completing undefeated but tied regular season and solidifying number 1. Claimed the Irish did not accept bowl bids between 1926 and 1969. Michigan State was the victim of 2 Big Ten rules that would be rescinded a few years later. So the same school could not represent the league in the Rose Bowl in back-to-back seasons. No Big Ten school could play in a bowl game other than the Rose Bowl. So despite being Big Ten champions and undefeated in the regular season, the Spartans cannot play in the Rose Bowl or indeed any other bowl. Players from both schools earned tremendous accolades for the season, including All-American honors. Michigan State had 4 players drafted in the NFL, AFL draft 67, within the 8 picks of the first round. After Eddie's injury while walking from the train in East Lansing, Notre Dame football never traveled to away games by train. Both teams now make the 160-mile trip by bus. Also, they've been like legacy games for like throwback jersey from Michigan State from the 60s back in 2006 for the 40th anniversary, 2006 when they played each other on September 23rd. Notre Dame won 40-37, coming back from a 16-point deficit and scoring 19 points. Then 2016, members of the Notre Dame team appeared on the field prior to the game. Michigan won 36-28. Let's a quick look at that epic battle back in 1966 between Notre Dame versus Michigan State. Number 1 versus number 2, the battle for number 1. Very controversial, one of the greatest games ever played in college football history. Known as the game of the century. Definitely up to the hype, but it had controversy. Eric Proceedings not going to take the lead. He decided to go for a tie. So that's it. Be back at 1:30. With the Washington Huskies of 1991. That'll be it for that. 1991. That's the team that won the Shield National Championship with Notre Dame. With Miami in 1991. So that's it. So then, talk to you soon.